Yeah, it would be nice to hear a little bit of backstory. You know, there's always that like a little bit of a gap. I say a gap like I don't know, a barrier between things that happen in Korea and things happening outside of Korea. And it would be nice if, I don't know, if like Crank or if someone was able to look into it and get an official statement or something about what has been happening with Envy, with Abydos. But regardless, we are here in our fresh best of 3 series, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Z Gaming. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss representing his new team, Abydos. It is NightMare. Vámonos. Quack, quack. Welcome, Tater Tutor, to the chat as well. Welcome, welcome. Fala, galera. I just want to say that. As we have our fresh series here, we've been able to follow Dark throughout this tournament. Have a good showing, good defensive showing against Hon Mono. Against NightMare, we'll see how he does. Again, NightMare, he's more of a mid-game player. Kind of bring this up quite often. He doesn't typically lean towards the late game. But we are in Ancient Cistern, which is a very large map, and it is a little bit conducive to some longer macro games. You can take advantage of the map. There are plenty of bases to be taken. You can wall off. You can set up yourself on 4 bases relatively easily. NightMare, it wouldn't be a bad choice to try to slow the game down. I just think that's like against his nature, you know? He is your NightMare for a reason. He's in your face with Glaive Adepts, with charge lot timings. That's what he is about. So we'll see if that's going to be the case once again here in ESL Americas. Of course, these weekly tournaments are always a great way to kind of gauge the state of play for a player. You know, kind of their tendencies, what they're maybe practicing, what they're working on, what they're trying out, you know, pre-GSL, pre these big events that are going to be on the horizon coming soon. So it's a good way to get a bit of a gauge on the player's state of mind. As for the time being, we have a pretty standard opener from both players. We have a Hatch Gas Pool from Dark. Of course, he's forced to take the unnatural natural. Feels bad, man. So he is forced to take this space instead, which is to be expected in this matchup. It is quite standard in current era of StarCraft. Meanwhile, NightMare is going for a Stargate opener. Again, pretty standard as well. We should be seeing an Oracle, but we have seen NightMare mess around a little bit with Void Ray openers instead. That's what's so scary about NightMare, is that he can mix things up and he can diversify his build. He's not always playing standard, he's not always playing meta. As he goes for a bit of a pylon block, the Adept, oh, it gets here 1 second too late. NightMare was racing against the clock to try and deny this third base, but the drone morphs in just in time. Dark would not be delayed any longer. Oh. Very nicely done. Meanwhile, the Adept goes all the way into the main base, and this is pretty important. We get a full scout of the main, just to make sure no additional gases have been taken. We haven't pulled back into gas either, but a nice citizen's arrest. Dark does clean up that first Adept. But NightMare's coming back in with a probe. I guess he just wanted to confirm that there was no cancel or anything like that, but yeah, probe does go down. We do have an Oracle first from NightMare, so far pretty standard. And there we go, we have an Oracle second from NightMare as well, so looks to be an economic opener. We should be seeing a third Oracle, we should be seeing a third base momentarily as well. As both Adepts are rushing across the map, ooh, we do not commit to the shade. The Adepts are backing off to head over towards the third base location. Meanwhile, the Oracle dives on in and we'll get 3 drone kills. Not too bad whatsoever. 3 drones for a little bit of hull damage. Meanwhile, the Oracle shows up just in time. Third base gets thrown down. The Lings are here to apply some pressure, but the Oracle is going to be able to protect this base. And yeah, NightMare just going for a double Oracle opener. So you don't have as much flexibility with this. With triple Oracles, you can send 2 across the map to deal damage, and you have your third to protect your base. But because we only open up with 2, both of them are forced to stick around a little bit longer. It means that Dark, he can kind of drone freely, and he doesn't have to worry too much about any kind of Oracle harass. Not yet, anyway. Meanwhile, we do see high ground vision provided here. The Overlord is going to be focused down. Lings are going to be testing the walls. They're going to be looking for any kind of stray probes, any kind of stray units, but so far the defenses are solid here for NightMare. Back across the map, once again a pretty standard setup from Dark. He is going for an Evo chamber with +1 and a Baneling nest. He's going to be skipping roaches, at least it looks to be that way for the time being. +1 melee is a great way to play against this Blink Stalker follow-up, and it so happens to be that's exactly what NightMare is doing. Blink is on the way. I have to wonder if Dark kind of saw something that tipped him off. He did just see a warp in of Stalkers, and I'm sure that's enough to tell him that it's not going to be charged. We have seen a rise in popularity of Charge.Archon instead as a follow-up to Double Oracle, but that's not what we're seeing here from NightMare. And upon scouting all of this, Dark is correctly identifying the counter, and that is Lings. Just making Lings. He's cutting drones at 48, by the way. He's making nothing but Lings. He's going to be going for an all-in. These bases are just for Larva. Lings are spotted by these oracles, but is it too little too late? NightMare's moving out? Oh no. Moving out is not what we want to be doing. We don't want to be caught out outside of range of the shield battery, outside of range of the overcharge. The Lings are getting ready for that counterattack. Lings towards the north as well. We have droning though. Dark is going to be trying to transition out of this. He is still going to be looking to, get into a later game. But he's got a lot of Lings. Jesus, he's got 62 Lings right now. A massive chunk of them here across the map. It looks like he has spotted the move out here, and he's going to collapse on this gateway. That's a kill, not a cancel. So it looks like Dark was waiting for NightMare to push into him. He was getting ready for a surround. And now he's going to dive on in. But the stasis trap... Oh! Decent chunk of Lings do get caught in the stasis. NightMare is still setting up this proxy location. He still wants to lay siege upon Dark. Meanwhile, because Dark cut drones earlier, his economic situation isn't looking that great, to be honest. Ooh, but NightMare, do we really want to fight this right now? Nice bait on that stasis trap with +1 melee. A couple of Stalkers do go down. Dark just making nothing but Lings behind this. He is getting another surround. The Oracles are doing a lot of damage. I don't know if this is the fight we want to be taking, Dark. He loses every Ling, bar 3. Again, Dark cutting drones when he did may hurt him in the long run. As NightMare's pushing on forward here, the economic situation is in favor of the Protoss. This hatchery is under threat. Dark setting up a counterattack. Looks like he's going to be posturing. He's going to be trying to force NightMare back. Meanwhile, we have that Ling run by. Banelings are waddling in as well. They're headed towards the mineral line. Up, up, up. Oh, the Banelings aren't going to make it quite yet. Meanwhile, at the same time, Dark is engaging with the main army. He's going for his Ling counterattack. Banelings do find connections, but not with probes, only with those shield batteries. Oh, and Dark is bleeding out quite a bit here. His run by is getting cleaned up. And on the front lines, a lot of Lings go down. Dark is not trading well at all. Ugh. And again, with this low drone counts, he can't really sustain himself for much longer. I mean, he's going for +2 melee. He has plenty of larvae to work with. He does have that back macro hatchery in his main. He's going for another run by. This is pretty crucial, to be honest. Like, because Dark doesn't have a lot of workers, he needs to cripple the economy of his opponent. It looks like maybe that's exactly what he's going to be able to do. There we go. He's finally getting some probe kills. It took a while, but he's finally just eviscerating the economy of NightMare. At the same time, we do see Banelings waddling on in. No Baneling speed. 17 workers go down. That makes it worth it. All Dark has to do right now is survive. He doesn't have to keep going for these run-bys. He can just make sure he holds onto these bases, and he will be fine. Speaking of, hatchery is going to be going down. Dark once again going for another run-by. Is going to be forcing NightMare in a really awkward position. Meanwhile, Jesus, look how many queens we have. We have 11 queens here for Dark. They've all being pulled to the front lines. The third base is going to be going down. Dark is forcing NightMare all in. I mean, he was all in before, but now he is even more so all in. Oh. Here we go. NightMare trying to force his way up this ramp. The transfuse is a little bit too good. The Banelings are looking to find their connections. Dark setting up a surround, but no, the Oracles show up to support. Oh. Again, has to be careful. I love how patient NightMare has been with his oracles, by the way. He's never just aped his oracles in. They either throw down stasis traps or they've been left behind to deal with lings. Because of that, they've been, you know, able to support this entire time. The queens haven't been able to get close to them. Meanwhile, Dark going for another round by no shield battery setup, forces a defensive warp in, forces a wall back at home. That wall, I don't know how much longer it's going to be standing strong. The wall is going to be slowly going down. At the same time, we have that surround. The Banelings, they need the connections up. Oh, the Stalkers blink away. The Oracles are coming in to focus down the Banelings. The Banelings are off of creep. Oh, they don't find the connections. But I spoke too soon. God, these Stalkers are battered. They are bruised. They are deep in the red. At least half of them are. And Dark is holding. Again, another wave of lings on the way. This Stalker count isn't as terrifying as it once was. NightMare once again pushing onto creep. But with all these queens, the queens just never die. We have the surround being set up here by Dark as well. Sentries are coming in to support. Force fields are going to be amazing. There is no way to deal with those force fields. There are no Ravagers available. Dark is supply blocked. Uh-oh. Baneling speed finally on the way. NightMare's army supply is still comparable with that of Dark's. Like, he may be all in, but still trading quite well. Force fields just creating these choke points to take advantage of. Queens are finally dying. Oh my god. NightMare, is he doing it? Is Dark just losing too much? He's trying to take a fourth base towards the north. He's trying to take another expansion. Drones are being main-arted over. Running out of mineral patches here. The Ling Bane rolling on forward once again, but the force fields maybe just a little bit too good. Bailey's are trickling in. Yo, and they find the connections with the sentries. That is all they needed. But we still have 4 more sentries that came from. Oh. The creep is receding. The creep is being forced back. We need more Ling Bane. We still have sentries. We still have energy. The blinks are just a little bit too good. The Lings try to dive in once again, but where are the force fields? Yo, there they are. Banelings still find connections anyway, but Dark still not getting the trades that he wants. Now he's vulnerable. Where's the Ling Bane? It's not here to support him. Some queens may get picked up. Oh, he wants them. He wants them, Bob. Yo, NightMare is so on top of just continuing to warp in sentry after sentry to make sure he has the energy for these force fields. Dark forced back once again. The defense still on the edge. Do we have any force fields remaining? It looks like we do not. The Banelings finally roll in. And with Baneling speed, finally they get the connections that they had been looking for the entire game. The spread was pretty good here from NightMare, but it looks like he has finally lost a little bit too much. The queens are off of creep. They cannot transfuse. Dark overextending a little bit here. Five more Stalkers warping in behind this NightMare. He's reinforcing. This time, no sentries. Oh. A lot of these Banelings are still being morphed in. NightMare, can he do it? Can he do it? But here we go. Finally, the Banelings are coming in once again. And hey, if you saw some connections earlier, we're going to see them again. NightMare has to respect them. Dark is saturating his fourth base. Hasn't been droning, but is saturating it. Does have that worker lead. I love as well that he has Overlords in position to just make sure that no base is thrown down. NightMare forced long distance mine. He's running out of money. 5 sentries get morphed in. These force fields are everything. The wall's on the wall. Oh my god. Dark putting a just tightening that timer here on NightMare once again. The Lings gonna be getting in towards the natural. So far the Blinks are looking pretty good. But the wall is no longer a wall. The Lings have broken in. And NightMare, mate, you gotta go. You gotta make something happen. Dancing here with the army is not good enough. Ooh. Nice Blinks. They're actually not losing too many Stalkers at all. But I spoke too soon. The Baileys roll in. Oh. Across the map, Cybercore goes down. No more Stalkers can be warped in. Only Zealots. That's all you get, Bappy. That's all you get. No! Miscontrol from NightMare. He had so much energy on those sentries, but he left them alone. He wasn't controlling them. They go down to those Banelings, and that was the chance. That was the only way for NightMare. GG gets called. Dark takes game 1. Oh my god. It was like a 10-minute all in. Oh. It was a fight that just did not stop for 10 minutes straight. Oh. Ay. It would not end, and now we're going to be getting into game number 2. Oh. GG. GG, well played. It looks like we have some other updates though. This just in, it looks like some casters are migrating over from the Americas. They're coming over to Asia. How many casters in total? That's the question here. Looks like we're getting Artosis, we're getting Big, and we're getting Rocklets from Brazil. So a lot of casters are coming over. Because of that, I imagine some series have ended. We don't really have any updates though on the bracket. So for none of these casters, but I guess this means that Creator versus Cure finished. I don't know. I guess this means that Creator versus Cure has ended. Don't know what the score is. Hopefully the admins get updated soon. As we're getting into game 2. Oh, that was intense. Oh, all right, let's go. Let's keep going, Papa. Let's keep going. It's spawning in the top left-hand corner of Neo Humanity. We've got South Korean Zerg representing DragonKy Z Gaming. DKZ. It is Dark. Oh. With a pretty close defense, not gonna lie, it wasn't clear cut. It was quite a close game in game number 1, and the player that made it that close is spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Neo Humanity. South Korean Protoss representing his brand new team, Abydos. It is NightMare. Alright, here we go. So we are going to be getting ready for this. Oh. We are going to be getting ready here for game number 2. It's just getting some messages. Gotta be careful. But yeah, so far pretty standard opener. Hatchcat Spool here from Dark. He is able to actually expand and take his natural. You love to see it. Feels good, Bobby. Feels good. As he's going to be able to get this underway. And yeah, we'll see kind of where this all leads here. I'm a little bit surprised, Dark, with a standard opener so far. We'll see if he does take advantage of the map itself. Neo Humanity, it is the smallest rush distance map in the entire map pool. It's a very defensive map because of all the choke points and a lot of the high ground that you can take advantage of. But that doesn't stop players from going all in, from going for these very strong timings. And when I think of Dark, I do think of roach timing attacks. So that is what my eyes are going to be on. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we can get there. Before that happens, of course, we'll also see what kind of opener NightMare goes for. Last game, if you recall, he did go for a double Oracle opener, not triple, but a relatively standard opener in that last game. Of course, it did lead into that 3 base 8 gate Blink Stalker all in. I don't know if that's the wisest of choices on a map like Neo Humanity though, just because the Zerg player can counterattack that much faster, that much harder. And interesting, Dark is actually mining out these rich mineral patches here. He's going to be not taking the forward base, he's not taking the triangular base, he's taking the linear base instead. Interesting. So yeah, he's going to be taking a much more defensive position overall. The reason why I say that is if you take the forward base, it's a launch pad with your creep, and you can just kind of accelerate your creep spread over towards the other side of the map for these like Queen Roach based pushes. Arguably, the same can be said for the triangular third. It can be difficult because, of course, the Oracle can have a little bit more free reign bouncing between all 3 of these bases, but taking the linear third is much safer here in comparison. It's possible that because game 1 was so intense, and to be honest, because it was so close, Dark, he just wants to calm down a little bit. He wants a little bit more breathing room. Wants to chill out, you know? I don't blame him. Do not blame him. As we do have an Oracle opener from NightMare. Once again, the first Oracle is going across the map. We should be seeing a second Oracle momentarily. Or is he going to skip it? Is he only opening up 1? That's crazy. That's actually, oh my god, yeah. NightMare cutting some corners here, so makes a single Oracle, goes across the map to harass. This does mean that this base here is vulnerable to a Ling run by and counterattack, but Dark is not going for it. I imagine because of game 1, he's just chilling at home and droning. Has made a couple of Lings defensively, but only a couple, so NightMare is getting away with cutting some of these corners. He's transitioning into that Twilight Council much faster. He's taking all 4 gases. He's throwing down more of these gateways. This should be for Blink. Let's see. He's surprised if he goes for charge. There we go. Blink is on the way, and a couple of other things to take note of. For the time being anyway, there's no Forge. There's no Forge and there's no +1. So with the lack of upgrades, it's possible that NightMare once again wants to go for a bit of an 8 gateway 3 base all in. We'll see if he does eventually throw down that Forge, as the 3rd base is finishing up and he is going to be looking to saturate it. Meanwhile, across the map, Dark, you know, doing Dark things. We have +1 melee, we have a Alien Nest. This is a pretty similar setup to last game. So he's getting, again, preparing himself to deal with those Blink Stalkers, or with a Blink Stalker composition. And he's guessing correctly. Ooh, I like this a lot as well. We have a Roach Horn thrown down just in case, just for safety. Just now, we're seeing a warp in of Stalkers, but until now, Dark wasn't fully aware of what was happening. It was a little bit in the dark. No pun intended. As we have these 4 gates set up, nice setup, and sorry, nice kind of a, you know, launch pad here for NightMare to move out across the map. He shouldn't be committing. There's no way to reinforce. He's just going to be poking and prodding. Blink is finishing up, so pushing into creep like this is okay. He's going to be trying to clear up some creep. Gets 1 tumor for his troubles. And we see the follow-up is going to be a Templar Archives. Interesting. So he's going to have access to Archons and High Templar with Storm. Okay, and that's a great way to help deal with Lings, to be honest. Like, Archons are amazing against Ling Bane. And that is what Dark composition is going to be. It's going to be made of. Goes. NightMare is just skirting around the edges of the map, just picking up whatever he can. We do see a bit of a surround being set up. 1 Stalker, 2 Stalkers go down. NightMare not anticipating this surround, so not a bad trade for Dark, trading minerals for gas. As I also appreciate this as well, he is going to be refining his army evermore with that Warren. Roach Speed is on the way. Ling, Bane, Roach, Ravager is going to be the composition of choice for Dark. And it's quite a good one, very solid to go into the mid game. And I think he's also recognized that yes, NightMare is going to be going into the mid game. Dark is going to be going up towards the north here, and he is going to confirm the 4th base. So he knows that NightMare isn't going to be going for any kind of early timing attack. As soon as Dark sees the 4th, he goes for the infestation pit. Very nicely done. So a nice trigger point here from Dark. Oh, and he's catching a lot of Stalkers as well. 3 more Stalkers go down at the same time. A Baneling run by goes into the 3rd base. NightMare not paying attention, a little bit too preoccupied with the Stalker micro. And just like that, Dark finds himself in a pretty good position. Sure, we've got Archons. Sure, we've got, you know, Storm momentarily as well, as I imagine we're going to be taking in that direction for the time being. Okay, just Archons, just Archons. So NightMare's army is being refined. You know, it's becoming a little bit more efficient overall, but because of that Baneling connection, yeah, Dark is going to be able to skyrocket a little bit ahead here. You know, getting his 4th base saturated. He can take a 5th from here as well. He's already got his macro hatch. With this infestation pit, he can tech up. He's got options. He can either tech up into Hive, or he can start maybe even going into Swarm Host. Which is unlikely, especially because he's up against Blink Stalkers. There we go. Hive is on the way. At the natural. Meanwhile, a bit of an overextension by Dark. He dips in just to test the waters at the 4th base, but he meets the army. He loses a couple of roaches. 5th base is being taken here by NightMare. And this 5th is difficult to crack. There are a lot of like angles of attack, I guess, but it's all with a high ground advantage for the defending player, so it can be really difficult to try and go for those run-bys. We do have Banelings being set up here, but this time Archons are left outside the natural to stop any kind of Baneling run-by. Speaking of, here we go, the Lings do go on in, but the Archons have been scouted. The Banelings do pull back. Up. Oh. Lings barely avoiding that stasis trap. And we are actually taking up in a pretty interesting direction. I was not anticipating this, but we have a Spire on the way. Interesting. So, yeah, we do have that Spire. With that, we have access to either a Greater Spire or even Mutas. Against all these Blink Stalkers and Archons, I don't think Mutas would be the wisest of choices, but I do think Dark just wants to tech on up into Broodlords when he sees fit. Meanwhile, the Prism gets denied entry into the main base, but does go towards the 5th. Banelings are rolling on in, and these Zealots are going to get cleaned up. Very nicely done here by Dark. Meanwhile, we see NightMare going for his own transition. Now that he has a 5th base, now that he has the Rich Vespine Gas, it is time to go into the late game. Fleet Beacon is begun here for NightMare. We should be seeing a 2nd and 3rd Stargate soon, and we should be seeing +1 air attack. So both players are gearing up for that stage of the game. Greater Spire on the way for Dark, for those Broodlords, for those Corruptors. And yeah, this is what we were talking about earlier. Despite the, oh my god, storms go down and a lot of Banelings get picked off. But we were talking about how this map, despite it being small, once bases are taken, it can be really defensive. I mean, the choke point coming into the 4th base is very narrow. We have a very nice cannon and shield battery wall set up here as well, which NightMare does fall back towards. We do have this center base covered by all these ramps, you know, and a lot of choke points as well, so it's kind of difficult to engage here. And same can be said for the left-hand side, but here we go. NightMare is pushing out across the map. At the same time, Dark is pushing in. NightMare is looking to take down a base, but NightMare is also going to be losing a base of his own. He does immediately evacuate, though. He's going to be saving his probes at the same time. Storms are going to be landing on the mineral line of Dark. Dark trying to hide his workers and burrow, but they cannot hide from the storm. At the same time, the central base of NightMare is safe and sound. The base survives, and so do the workers. Baneling's going to try and roll into the mineral lines, but they're being stuck. They can't get in. Banelings try to get into the natural as well, but NightMare is everywhere. But you know what? So is Dark. There we go. Finally, we get some connections. 9 probes go down. Banelings, they do get into at least 1 mineral line. Probes here on the right-hand side as well are going down. It took a while, but Dark did break through. And Dark is not stopping. He's got another run by being set up on the left-hand side. Carrier production has commenced. And the first carrier is coming out. This is going to be an important scout, but no, Dark doesn't see it. Does not know. Not yet. Seeing the carrier will trigger him to make corruptors, and there we go. The first carrier has been revealed. Storm guns connect on the Lings. Oh my god. And there we go. Ultra Cavern gets thrown down. First corruptor is on the way. We should be seeing upgrades soon as well. NightMare, for the most part, even though he lost the mineral line, he lost like 20 probes in that engagement, in that scuffle. NightMare is holding on long enough to survive to get into the late game, and this is a scary prospect for Dark. Dark wanted to get into the late game in a bit of a better position. He wanted to have done a little bit more damage, maybe killed the base, maybe gotten 20 more probes. Because that didn't happen, he's in a bit of trouble. Ooh. Jump force cancel. Meanwhile, there we go. Ling run by slips on into the third base and the fourth base. Somehow NightMare is out of position. He's trying to focus down the base. Up. The Nexus will go down at the same time. Banelings roll into the forward base as well. Doesn't get into the mineral line, but regardless, in the chaos of it all, 17 probes go down, and this is what Dark needed to give himself some breathing room to actually make an army, to actually have an economic advantage. The Lings, they unburrow, they come in once again. They're still there, by the way. And NightMare is being pulled apart. He was doing such a great job at defending earlier. He was doing such an amazing job at holding on to all 5 of his bases, but over time, he has been broken. Over time, Dark finds a way. Lings get into the main, the natural. Every single base is on fire. Corruptors are even finding a stray carrier as well. And 42 probes go down. This is going to be forcing a massive counterattack from NightMare. He is all in. God, and the Lings are still alive, by the way. They just keep burrowing. They just keep being as annoying as possible. NightMare pulls back with everything he has. And this is giving time for Dark to remax, rebuild, and actually have an answer to the carriers. There we go. NightMare has had enough. That was the move. Where the Lings are still in the main base, I can see him just shaking. No, he comes back. He's a little bit indecisive. He doesn't know what he wants. There we go. He's spinning up his army. He's moving back out. Dark has to be careful because this is still a scary army. Look at the army supplies. The overall supply is in favor of Dark, but that's because of his workers. NightMare is down to 7 probes. NightMare's army supply is equivalent to that of Dark's, and he has Storm, he has Archons, he has carriers. NightMare straight up has a more efficient army. He can take a good fight, and he can snowball from there and go on top of these bases because of how small this map is. So Dark still has to be careful. Here we go. Dark is avoiding the army. He's going for a massive Ling counterattack. Ultra's trying to get on top of the High Templar. Up. Oh, 1 High Templar goes down. The second High Templar. Can he get a third? Regardless, 2 High Templar for an Ultra is worth it here for Dark. Oh, and he forces NightMare to turn around. I mean, he has to be fair. He doesn't want to die, like, to being eliminated. He doesn't want to lose all his buildings. Ugh. And NightMare is dancing to the music of Dark. Ay, ay, ay. You can feel it. NightMare just wants to attack. He's like, yo, I've got like 5 carriers. I just want to go, Papi, but... As time goes on, it gets better and better for Dark. The carriers are left at home, so the ground toss army is looking a little bit vulnerable out here. Oh, here we go. A couple of storms are going to zone away the army, but the Ultras, they don't care about your storms. They're going to push on forward anyway. The Corruptors are coming in from the side. Archons are pushing forward here, and they're going to be able to take down some of these Corruptors. But the Ultras take control of the ground. A lot of Corruptors do fall. But I don't know if we care about the Corruptors. Probably should care about the Corruptors. GG gets called. Dark, he does it. He takes the series 2-0. Oh my god. GG, well played. Oh, that was a pretty intense series overall. There were moments where NightMare was looking good in both games. I want to reiterate that. NightMare, you know, he had his chances, he had his games there, he had his moments in game 1 and game 2. Unfortunately, Dark is the best Zerg player in Korea for a reason, and Dark was able to overcome his struggles in the end, and GG. Congratulations to Dark for taking the series 2-0 and moving on to the semifinals.